Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.
Hello, and welcome to Behind the Mirror of Music. My name is Dannii Cohen. This week's guest is Kurt Peterson.
Kurt Peterson began his Broadway career when Leonard Bernstein and Richard Rodgers chose him to play Tony in the revival of West Side Story at Lincoln Center. During this production, he worked with Stephen Sondheim for the very first time. He then starred opposite Angela Lansbury in Dear World and created the role of young Ben in Stephen Sondheim's Follies. Off-Broadway, Kurt starred in Dames at Sea by Bernstein and Alias Jimmy Valentine, and appeared in the Town Hall production of Knickerbocker Holiday, Music in the Air and I Married an Angel. Kurt sang Proud Lady to Patti LuPone when he starred opposite her in the Broadway-bound The Baker's Wife. He also starred in the highly acclaimed Canadian premiere of Company and Rob Marshall's production of Side by Sondheim. Kurt was featured in the 75th birthday celebrations Wall to Wall Sondheim and Children and Art, honoring Sondheim, and has performed as a leading man in many Sondheim productions and concerts around the country. Meanwhile, Kurt and his company James William Productions produced the acclaimed Sondheim, a musical tribute, the very first celebration of the company's lyricist. It also helped launch the New York and London productions of Angela Lansbury's Gypsy, produced the live tours of classic children's shows The Magic Garden and the national tour of Rob Marshall's innovative Side by Sondheim.
I hope you will enjoy the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good too.
How's the weather over there?
It's very hot at the moment, and I'm in quite a hot room right now because, well, I've had to close the windows because there's a lot of noise outside.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's hot all over the world.
Yes.
We're 95 here today, and
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. What are you doing right now in your life and career?
Well, gosh, golly, I just finished a couple of things. We just did a big sort of star-studded concert at Carnegie Hall, uh, Follies. And yeah, I don't know if you
Yes.
read about that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I co-hosted the evening with Ted Chapin, who wrote Whenever It's Possible, the book on Follies, and it was filled with wonderful, wonderful performers, full orchestra and chorus, and I uh, I I did the last number sort of for surprise. The last number of Follies, Live, Laugh, Love, was supposed to be done by, I believe, Len Cariou, and he had a conflict. So a week before, I learned. Well, I didn't have to learn the number because it's sort of in my bones, for having been in
Yes.
politics for such a long time. And so I did Live, Laugh, and Love. And actually, oh, I have it here. I have to show you. Okay,
Okay.
I have to show you. This is John McMartin's cane from the original Follies. Can you see it? There we are. There it
I'm
is.
gonna see it now. Gorgeous.
Yeah. So this his long-term love lady Charlotte Moore had it after John passed away, and it's on loan from Charlotte, so I have it here. So that was quite an ending to the concert. And then I did a little bit of a talk about Hal and Stephen, and how that Hal I had the good fortune of sitting with Hal not long before he passed away, and he said, Kurt, Follies was my favorite show ever, and John McMartin was my favorite performer, and he gave the best musical theater performance that I'd ever seen. And then in a Zoom meeting we had for the 50th anniversary of Follies, Steve let out that Follies was actually his favorite score. I didn't know that. but
No.
we have it on tape. We have it on tape, so that's truly what it was. Yeah. And then I did a little bit of a talk about how important it was for the people who were there. And then I mentioned my dear friend Harvey, and I said, Harvey summed it up best when he said, when I die, I want my tombstone to read, here lies Harvey Evans, he was in Follies. And then I did, hey up there, way up there, what do you say up there? And that ended the concert. So it was a really special evening. You know, a lot of the performers some of them were certainly born when Follies was here, and a lot of them hadn't done Follies, but they certainly did the numbers, including an incredible I'm Still Here with Jennifer Holliday. You know, yeah, so it was lovely, sold out evening. It sold out in one, I think 1.5 days, it was sold out at Carnegie Hall.
You
And
heard some
yeah,
of the people who were there. They were so moved, and all the artists who came were so special. And such a big musical theater history altogether.
yeah, a lot of history there. So that was just a couple weeks ago, and yeah, and I'm you know, working on a couple of things. I'm doing a little documentary, a mini documentary on my dear partner Victoria Mallory, who in August will have been 10 years when she passed away, and we're doing a little thing on the a little nod to her, to remember her, and then also bringing out the album of our City Center concert that we did in 2012, sort of referencing that again. That was her last New York stage appearance, so we're doing that. And I have a new musical called Dancing on the Moon that I'm in the process of writing, and I think there's a wonderful nod to the tribute to Stephen Sondheim that I produced. We did a video of it that's out there too, and I just want to make sure that all your viewers know that you can go to my website, jameswilliamproductions.com, and click right on that wonderful, it's called On the Steps of the Schubert. It's where I sat with Steve in 1973 when we did the tribute at the Schubert Theater. Yeah. So tell me about you. What are you up to?
Well, mainly while working on this project, and
Yes.
I'm hoping to make it something big so that musical theater artists from around the world can come on the page and discuss their career, promote their work, and maybe do some live readings and that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you fall in love with music and acting?
How did I fall in love with it?
Yes.
I saw when I was in junior high school. I saw my first musical. It was Finian's Rainbow, and it just clicked with me. It just said something's going on here. I'd never seen a musical ever. And Finian's Rainbow, and then I saw a high school production of Cinderella, the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, and I was hooked. I went and I was just started listening. I started buying albums and started singing. That's when the first time I started singing. I just went down my basement, sang along with albums back then. Yeah. Yeah. And then I auditioned for High School Musicals. I did them. I did The Pajama Game. I did The Boyfriend. Little Abner, and some plays and things. I just loved it. My first musical I ever saw, we went to New York in 1964 for the World's Fair, and I saw 110 in the Shade, the Harvey Schmidt and Thomas Jones with Robert Horton and Inga Swenson. And I sang with that score forever and ever. I love that. I love Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt as composers. I did the Fantastics a lot as a kid. But yeah, 110 in the Shade, beautiful score, beautiful score. You know, romantic score. Different, totally different than Sondheim, but beautiful, beautiful.
When did you start performing professionally?
The first thing I did, I came to New York in 66, right from high school, went to AMDA, so I met Vicki Mallory in AMDA, and studied there for the first year. And then the first summer after school, I went to out of New Jersey to one of these big musical tents, and did the Frog Prince. It was 100 degrees in the shade. And I played this frog prince, where I had to wear this frog head for the whole show, and took it out at the end. And I looked like a drowned rat, not a prince. And that's the first paycheck I got. My first professional paycheck. I think it was $48 or something like that. Yeah. And then I went back to AMDA, and the second, yes. Well, no, actually, the Frog Prince was when I came to New York in the summer. So I did the Frog Prince in the summer, went to AMDA. And then the next summer, I got my equity card. I was cast by Tommy Tune, and went to Milwaukee, and I did a chorus, singing in the chorus. And Tommy Tune was the choreographer all summer. So I did 8 different shows in the summer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1967. Then the following year, I went back to AMDA, and the following year, near the end of my term, I auditioned for both West Side Story and Dear World in 1 week. And I got two Broadway shows in 1 week. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is good. Little did I know that wasn't going to happen forever. Yeah.
What was I think you did West Side Story first or Dear World?
West Side Story was first. It was the summer at Lincoln Center. And it was this 11 weeks. Richard Rodgers was the producer there. He produced the summer shows at the State Theater, Lincoln Center. Yeah, so that was the first one. That was June through September. And then at the end of September, I went into rehearsals for Dear World, and we went to Boston and came back to New York and did that. So that was my first original Broadway show.
What was it like to work with Angela Lansbury?
Oh, she was wonderful, very professional, very professional. I wish the show was in better hands, because it's beautiful score, the Jerry Herman score. It's just lovely. They had so many chefs in the kitchen, and Angela got a little scared because she'd just come off of Maine, and was Toast of Broadway, and it was a little scary for her. And but she was always professional. She became a great friend and a dear colleague, and I just loved her. I loved the whole cast. It was a great cast, but they just never had the direction that they needed to make it happen. Yeah, beautiful Jerry Herman score, and that was beautiful. Oh, Kiss Her Now. Just beautiful music lyrics.
I always think it's such a shame when a show doesn't work. There's so many beautiful music that's heard so little.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. When the show's not really successful, a lot of people just don't take the risk to do it. And then there's only us diehard theater fans who know and appreciate some of the original scores. The Baker's Wife is another one that I did that was really doomed because of the people who are at the head of the ship, and that's a lovely score too. Some beautiful music in it too. It's been, I think it's up there in just outside of London now, isn't it?
Yes, it's I think it's doing kind of well. There's some critics still don't get it. It really has its own audience now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the production?
Not yet, but I hope to.
Oh, I hope so too. Email me when you do and let me know how it is. I saw a lovely one that was done a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, down on 42nd Street, that was directed. And it was really a lovely, lovely, lovely production with 2 wonderful performers doing it. My role has always been a little bit of a problem in it. In the original, I was just a cad. I was like a Gaston character, just a male chauvinist pig. And my song was sort of military and in orchestration, and just a guy who's full of himself. And then they actually cut that number while we were out of town. And then in the rewrites, in the one in London, I believe, and then the first one that Trevor did, and then in subsequent ones, they made him into more of a romantic character, kept the song for some strange reason, because it's a love song, but you've got this military thing going on underneath, dum da da dum dum, and so it doesn't work. But it doesn't give her anything to run away from. If she's getting true love from both characters, where's the excitement in the young man that she needs in her life, And so that character's always been a little strange. But we'll see what they do. They seem to fix things at that warehouse up there, don't they?
So that makes a lot of changes, but kept the score, so that's always good.
Yeah. I did love, speaking of shows, I certainly loved what the lovely lady did with Merrily. It was one of the best evenings I've recently spent in the theater with Merrily We Roll Along. And Murray Freeman in her direction. It's lovely. Yeah.
So glad that works now, because so many new people get to hear it.
Yes. Yeah. Great score. It's always been a great score.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't as crazy about Here We Are. I truly thought that it was unfinished, and I was a little cranky about it because Stephen does so much of his writing in rehearsals and near the in the previews and the productions. He really didn't have that, although there were a couple of workshops. He really didn't have the opportunity to write a score for it in the way that he could have. And I thought it was put on hastily and without. I don't truly believe that Stephen would have wanted it to be on, even though they said he would. I was disappointed in it.
I don't think so either, because all I've ever heard of Stephen is that he always indeed wrote till the very end of rehearsals.
Yeah, totally. As I said earlier, he loves to see the scene that he writes for, and the more he can stay in that scene and see it later on to see how it's really going to be, the more he can see who the actors are, what they'd be able to do. But he looks at everything. He wants to know what the set's going to look like. He wants to know just about every detail before he goes into the song. An example of that was "Send in the Clowns," which it's a song that was written for a scene that Len and Glynis were doing, and it was supposed to be his song. But as the scene progressed, Stephen said, "No, this scene needs something else." And the way that song comes out of that heartbreaking scene is a prime example of context. Context. Sort of surprised that it became so famous because it was so specifically written for those two characters.
I think that was because of Frank Sinatra recording it in the end.
Yeah, well, Judy Collins too.
Yes.
Judy Collins, I think, even before Frank. Then everybody sang it. Here comes that clown song again.
There are even cartoons of clowns now who say, "Send me in."
Right.
What was it like to begin Follies? How was the process?
Well, it was interesting because Follies, it was very cinematic, Follies, and the big cast, young people, old people. And I remember that in the first days of rehearsal, Harvey played my dear friend Harvey, who played young Buddy. We're looking at the scripts trying to find our lines, and there was no song for us there then. We were looking for our lines, and there were very few lines, and they were all sort of spread through the thing. We couldn't sort of get the through line. And in rehearsal, we really couldn't either because it was so cinematic. We were running on stage for a moment, running off stage, saying a few things, singing a few things as they. So it wasn't like being in a show like The Fantastics, where you have a character that goes all the way through it. It was very in and out and in and out. So there never was a sense of journey through it. And then it was always interrupted by these wonderful numbers and things like that. So it was a little tricky and a little difficult to do and not fulfilling in a way until I left the show and I saw it for the first time and I said, oh my God, that's what's going on, and how it all came together. But in the beginning, it was just, we knew we were working with some people who really knew what they were doing. But as I've often said, I won't speak for the other young people in the show, but I was hired because I was half conscious. These kids don't know the ending yet. I didn't know the ending. I'm just going to love tomorrow. Everything's going to be just fine. So there was that kind of attitude that we had and why we were cast. It took me a few years to figure out, where we were going with the show. I certainly know it now. I wish I'd had my 76-year-old consciousness into my 23-year-old character, but I probably wouldn't have been cast then.
What was it like to work with Hal Prince on it?
No, it was wonderful. He was like, Hal, first of all, his positive energy, always his positive energy. And he's a brilliant man. He knew this was a difficult show to put together. From designing that set, there'd never been a set like it. To all of the numbers that were in the show and all of the scenes and how, as I say, cinematic they were, and all the changes they had to make in rehearsals. But you never felt that they were out of control or frightened about it. They just worked and worked and worked and changed and changed and changed. It was a wonderful experience working with Hal. He always saw the big picture, And Stephen was very supportive, very supportive. He was Steve back then, his Follies. He was not Stephen Sondheim. He was Steve. We'd go out for a beer, I was doing Dames at Sea at that point. He came, he said, I've never seen Dames. Can I come? I said, sure, come on. So he came and he sat through a music rehearsal for Dames at Sea with me. And the music director said, who's that out in the audience? I said, that's Steve Sondheim. Well, the music director almost fell off his piano chair. But that was before he was, Stephen was to me, he was always accessible and always supportive, and Hal too, both of them, right up to the end. I have a little house up in Bridgewater, Connecticut. It's only about a mile away from Steve's house up there. So I used to drive by it at least once or twice a month, and I certainly drove by it the day after Thanksgiving when Stephen passed. And I still drive by it today. It's been bought, and I think there's a family living there. It seems to be kept up very well. It's very beautifully kept, and people are there enjoying it. So that's great.
Yes, you're also producing and creating productions yourself now for your company.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you start that?
It started, when I was doing Follies. I did Follies in New York, and then I rejoined it, and I went to California with Follies. My stage manager was Fritz Holt, and he and his partner, Barry Brown, had optioned Gypsy with Angela Lansbury for London. And in just backstage talk, I discovered that Fritz was having difficulty raising money. And I said, I've always sort of been interested in this. How about if I helped you raise money? And he said, okay, go ahead. So out in California, I started having lunches with people, and I was in a hit show, and it was easy to meet with people. And I ended up raising a quarter of the budget for Gypsy. That time it was incredibly inexpensive to bring it to London. It's $400,000. I believe I raised $100,000. And then the head of my school, AMDA, Philip Burton, and his partner, Joyce Worsley, heard that I was raising money for this. And they said, well, look, AMDA's in trouble. Do you think you'd want to do a little afternoon tea party with, and help us raise some money? And I said, sure. So I said, well, how about Hal Prince? They said, great. So I called Hal, and he said, no. I said, no. I said, okay. Then I went to Joyce and Philip and I said, how about Steve? And they said, yes. So I called Steve. I said, Steve, they're going to do a little, they want to do a little fundraising afternoon, probably at the Plaza Hotel. A couple AMDA students are going to sing a song. And if you show up, it would help us sell tickets and raise money. I said, fine. Well, next time, and you'll see it on the steps of the Schubert video. I got Craig Zaden involved, who's writing the book on Sondheim and Company. And all of a sudden, the things just started growing. It was like this bubbling thing. And long story short, the next time we saw Steve, the thing had grown to the Schubert Theater, Warner Brothers recording contract, and almost every major Sondheim star. So I guess we were a little ambitious, and Stephen was shocked. It almost killed the idea, but he didn't, and we brought in Bert Sheveloff. Stephen brought in Bert Sheveloff, and we made the thing happen. So after that, and that evening, when as I say, I sat on in the back of the Schubert Theater on the stairs with Stephen all night and saw this show. I was just hooked in terms of having the creative opportunity to produce something like that. And I've done that ever since. I've done, produced as well as performed in shows. It gives you a little bit more control, and you can choose your projects, choose your projects. And I haven't made a fortune doing it, but I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun losing my money.
You're also producing something on the life of Zero Mostel.
Yes, Zero Hours. We had a big off-Broadway hit. I didn't make money on that one either, but I was so proud of it, and proud of Jim Brochu, who resurrected Zero Mostel. We won some quite lovely awards with it. It ran a long time. Very proud of that show. Jim's writing was brilliant. His performance was brilliant, and very proud to co-produce that with Ed Gaines, my co-producer. Yeah. Yeah, and it did a Stephen Schwartz show. I did, I've worked with all the best, but I seem to have done some of their flops. I was in there, Jerry Herman's flop. Then I did the Captain Louis, which is a lovely children's show that Stephen Schwartz wrote. And I was producing about the same time that Wiggy came out. So unfortunately, I put my $100,000 into Captain Louis and not into Wicked. And I'd done the opposite, I'd be very happy right now. But I'm very proud of it. We did it off-Broadway, and then we toured it, national tour, and it's still being licensed, done. Kids all over the world are doing Captain Louis. Yeah. And then did Capture Now, which is a one-person play that I produced with Jane Berger. Very proud of that. We opened during the economic calamity of 2008. We didn't last long, but it's still out there. And then, oh gosh, some concerts and things. A thing called Proud Ladies, where I produced the concert When Everything Was Possible, which you could get the CD. It was Vicky's last performance at City Center, and it was a journey about our lives together from AMDA, first day of school, through about 8 years together, where we did many shows together, and I'm very proud of that. Very proud of it. We were going to do that. I'd still be doing it now with Vicky, except she passed away in 2014, and we lost her. After that, I did a show called Proud Ladies, which celebrated 23 of the most exciting women in the theater, all women I'd worked with, had either worked with, were friends, or had relationships with. And it was a story about how they all taught me things, and they sort of mentored me in a way that my father couldn't, because he was ill. And yeah, and then yeah, so now I have a show called Dancing on the Moon. That's sort of the story of Vicky and I, but it's the real story, not just the light concert version. And we're going to try to get that out there too. And I have the very good fortune, you'll see there's a piano behind me. of owning the voice studio, which is, I've got 25 teachers here. They teach the very top in the business to the people who are just getting off the bus coming here. So it's filled with energy and music all day long. And I'm just thrilled to have it. It sort of pays the bills. You know?
It's absolutely wonderful when you have the chance to teach.
Yes, yeah. I've taught since 1975, taught with my teacher, Paul Gabbard, who was my teacher, and Vicky's teacher, and Betty Buckley's teacher, and Donna McKechnie, and a lot of the chorus line people, the Pippin people, all the people in the 70s and 80s that that worked in New York. So it's been I'm in the same building that I was way back in the early 70s.
What are some of your favorite stage memories?
Stage memories? Oh gosh. Well, the prime one would be sitting with Stephen during the Sondheim and musical tribute, sitting back, on the steps with him, watching him watch the evening. There's nothing that was better than that. West Side Story was exciting at City Center, or Lincoln Center, right? Lincoln Center. Follies was exciting. I loved when I had the opportunity to finally do a company in London, Toronto, opened in Ottawa, then we opened in Toronto. It was sort of the Canadian premiere of company. That was an exciting thing because I always wanted to play that character and sing that material. The concert with Vicky was at a high point. It's lovely. Yeah. I think it's like asking me my three favorite songs. I could probably give you 30. Yeah. And it's the same thing with moments in the theater, because that's the wonderful thing about theater. Every evening is a different experience, and it can be just the best ever. And fortunately for me, I've had a lot of those, and I'm just so grateful that I could have them.
Is there anything you still dream of doing as an actor or as a producer?
Yeah. I wrote this Dancing on the Moon that the protagonist is me in it. And I started writing it actually before I did the concert with Vicky. Vicky and I started it in 2010. And then we put it on the shelf so we could do this concert of well-known songs that we all did in shows. And I wrote the character, but it'll have to be played by someone else now, somebody in the 60s, not the 70s. So we'll find the perfect person to play me, and the perfect person to play Victoria and Victoria's daughter, and another character called Tom, who represents the culture of today. And it's a past and present kind of evening. But I will still perform. I'm a little too tired to do Proud Ladies. That was like 90 minutes with 23 songs and almost 20 monologues. So I'm a little pooped. I don't know if I'll do that one again, because I did it and I got COVID right afterwards. I did it just before. Yeah. So yeah, but fortunately for me, there's always, I'm not retiring, is what I'm going to say. There's no reason to retire, and I still have things to do.
Is there anything you wish to want to add to the interview that wasn't asked, but that you want to be have included?
No, I just tell me the first musical you saw and why you're so such a wonderful cheerleader for musical theater. Do you know?
My first musical, I think I saw it on TV, was My Fair Lady with Audrey Hepburn.
Ah, okay.
And then I had a mother and grandparents who all loved musical theater, music and operetta, so I kind of grew up with it, with watching Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly movies and all the other things.
Yeah.
So it was always there, and then I fell in love with the TV version of Phantom of the Opera, and then I saw the production in London with Ethan Freeman, and then it's sort of moved on from there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh good. Yeah. Oh, good. Lots to explore in terms of the history of musical theater, and some awfully good writers early on with the Gershwins and the Harold Arlen's and all these wonderful things.
It's also wonderful that with musical theater you can always find new productions and new writers you never heard about from the past or the present. It just there's this musical theater channel on that I found on the radio that actually plays the thing. I thought I knew a lot, and then I heard so much more.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's wonderful. You know, they've always, you know, there's always a point in history where they say either musical theater is dead or Broadway is dead, you know, or something like that. And it just doesn't die. It just doesn't die, you know, something else will come along and it'll be exciting in a new way. And it's a wonderful medium. I mean, it's the only one where you can take the best of the book, of the text, of the lyric, of the music, of the dance, of the set, of the orchestration, of the performance, of all of this. It's the only one that you have all of these choices in, you know, and that's the good news and the bad news. Because because if you screw it up, you can really make a mess. But if you get them all in the same, you know, the same dish, and you have that dish served, there's nothing more powerful than that art form. That's and I believe that totally. I believe that totally. No.
True, because it's just sometimes you want to say something, but then a song expresses it so much better because you can put all your emotion into that.
Yeah, yeah, so true. So true. Yeah, no, as I say, you're helping to spread the news, spread the history and information, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the people who are in our corner, you know, letting people, older people, and especially the young people who are coming in, letting them know how big the world is in terms of musical theater. And I'm very grateful for you for that.
That's true. It's so important that I want the history to be shared because, as I said, there's so much to discover. It would be so sad if you didn't know. Well, Sondheim, of course, is thankfully very well known, but there's so many artists and music from the past that I know people would love, and I want to steer people in that direction if I can.
Yeah, well, you are. And I just want to, you know, I just want to say to the people, just, you know, keep, if you're young and you're a performer, just keep going. Just, you know, just show up and do the next right thing in terms of your career. Try to learn about the past because there's so much that you can, that will help you in the present and in the future, you know. And for me, if you want to know some of the other stories that I haven't shared today, there's a lot on my website, jameswilliamproductions.com. And the thing that's prime there right now is my video that my dear colleague Michael Stever put together for On the Steps of the Schubert, which has a lot of the numbers, quite a few of the numbers who are not on that 2-album CD. And but the 2-album CD is wonderful too, a wonderful source. You know, we found songs in Stephen's trunk that hadn't been used, hadn't been heard. You know, songs that are now standards. I Remember Sky, Take Me to the World, We're Gonna Be All Right, Silly People from Night Music. These were all done on that evening, and you know, Steve will be the first one to say it helped put him on the map because people were ignoring him and misunderstanding him almost all the way up through till Night Music. And our show was on the set of Little Night Music in 1973. And both the show and the tribute helped to turn people's, especially critics, thinking around about Stephen. Yeah, he wasn't even mentioned in West Side Story, you know. Yeah, that's my shameless ad to go to Kurt's website. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining. It was such a beautiful conversation. I love hearing about Sondheim and his history and Hal Prince, of course, and everyone who created all these beautiful musicals over the years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been very fortunate to work with three of the best: Jerry Herman, well, more than that, Leonard Bernstein, Jerry Herman, Stephen Schwartz, and Stephen Sondheim. Many of the other ones too, Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt. I'm 76 and I'm sort of glad I am, because I was around when they were all very, very productive, and I had the chance to be with them and work with them. And those are all wonderful memories. Wonderful memories. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.